Now, for Cancer rising sign people or Cancer zodiac sign people, we know that the second house, the sixth house, and the 10th house are the Artha Bhavas, are the houses of materialism or the houses of income. So, the rulership of which sign rule these houses and the planets which rule these houses is very, very important to be able to make money, because these are the Artha or the money houses or the material houses. Now, the second house is ruled by Sun, but the Leo sign is placed here. Leo sign is the sign of responsibility, accountability, and leading from the front. So unless you take the responsibility of high income, you take the leadership, put the front foot forward, you take ownership of your income. If you're depending on I'll get growth, if you're depending on I'll be acknowledged in my service or my job, it may not happen. You will have to push your case every now and then. You will have to be assertive for your income. You'll have to take chances. You'll have to take leadership even for change of career or change of job at the opportune moment. Then the sun will shine. You'll be able to make more money. Otherwise, you will, if you're dependent too much on other outside factors rather than taking leadership, taking accountability, taking responsibility, you may not be able to make money. So here, you need to take the bull by the horn. Here, you need to be the mover and shaker of higher income. Then Jupiter rules the sixth house. Here, the sixth house sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign of a slightly risk-taking planet, a risk-taking sign. It's a very fiery energy, which means you may have to be slightly adventurous in your job, in your service, to take roles in certain responsibilities where you may need to push your case. Maybe you need to learn first, where you may need to upgrade your skills to be able to earn. Then only you may be able to earn more money. And Mars rules the 10th house. But here the 10th house sign is Aries. So which means the ability to solve problems. So solve problems which not only come in your job, in your responsibility, but for your own self. So if you have challenges in your job where you don't have a good boss, you will have to solve that problem. You will have to have the fighting spirit of sometimes pushing your case, sometimes being more like a general to the king, to your boss. So here you need to be tactful but fighting enough to be able to get a higher income. Now keep in mind that the planets which rule the 6th and the 10th house, second house is ruled by Sun only. Sun doesn't rule any other house or sign. But the Jupiter planet which rules the 6th house also rules the 9th house of higher responsibility, higher accountability, higher learning, and also respect for your superiors and learning from your mistakes and your experiences. So if you're not ready to learn from your mistakes, if you're not ready to be mentored, if you're not listening to wise advice from others, if you're going it alone, you think you know everything, you are the most clever person, then you may be taking a risk. Other thing is here Pisces sign is involved in the 9th house. So here you may need to go far away from your homeland, from your comfort zone to be able to make more money. If you're not ready to go away from your comfort zone, then you may not be able to make as much money and as much gains as you want. And Mars, which rules the 10th house, also rules the 5th house. The 5th house of speculative investment, the 5th house of romantic liaisons, the 5th house of children, the 5th house of accounting, the 5th house of financial responsibility. So here you need to have the fighting spirit in your financial responsibility. You need to not lose focus of where you're investing in your money in. So keeping a tight lid on, and almost a constant focus on your speculative investments. Not just put some money in some shares and then not have a look at it, but keep coming back to it months later. No, you need to keep an eye on it. Slightly moves ups and downs, immediately take action, immediately take corrective measures, then only you will be able to get better results. And because Mars rules the 5th house as Scorpio sign, so at least once in life you will go through huge ups and downs. And if you're able to fight the situation out, then only you'll be able to have a sustained income. Now keep in mind that if any of the planets, now we know Sun doesn't go retrograde, but in your chart, in your birth chart, if either Mars or Jupiter is retrograde, or they are debilitated, or they get into bad doshas, or if the Sadesati is going over them, for example, Moon is placed, say for example, in the Scorpio sign, then during the dasha of the planet and during the Sadesati period, the income connected to service may suffer. If Sadesati is occurring over the second house, Moon, for example, is placed in your second house, or even in your Lagna and Saturn is going over it, over the rising period or the setting period, then too the income may suffer. So keep this in mind.